Good evening, GGL. Welcome to another edition of the Mac and the Moose Show. Mac, we got a pretty big show ahead of us. It's getting to that point in the season where playoff implications and Chatham are all coming into play. We also got a guest tonight, so let's go ahead and let's get this thing rolling.
Get her started here. All right, going into this was week 10. Starting off our matchups here, we had Teddy versus Josiah. Josiah pulling off the victory. I kind of figured this was going to be it, but a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah, Josiah got kind of screwed, I guess would be the way to describe it. I mean, he could have checked his team. Not that he could have made too big of a move, but basically Sam Eldinger got ruled out. Or not even ruled out, just Matt Ryan signed as the starter like 30 minutes before kickoff, and he's already got that locked in. So that was interesting. I'm also kind of surprised he had Mahomes in the OP and not the quarterback. He survives a Joey Burrow bye week and gets a big win. Teddy, as we've kind of talked about a few times, Mac, great guy, but his team is just not as strong as. And he started Kenny Pickett. Oh, because Kyler Murray was hurt. That's right. He got decent production out of Pickett. His running back position is interesting because Montgomery's getting less reps. Here's a big thing for him is Herbert went to the IR. So big Teddy is now he gets a full-time David Montgomery. His receivers are a little bit banged up as far as Keenan Allen still hurt. But yeah, Josiah continues the roll, moves to 7-2. Looks like one of the clear playoff teams in the East. And yeah, Teddy for playoff contention.
Yeah, it was a tough loss there, but Josiah moving to 7-2. There's not much you can go left after Josiah's team. It's either going to be a hit or miss, but moving to 7-2. Cleaning that spot. I know he keeps saying we all hate his team, but it's besides Patrick Mahomes putting up some numbers, it's not really.
So Josiah's got basically a base of 100 points. He's going to score at least 100 every week, and the reason for that is, and obviously this 9 without Joey B, but he's got Joey B, Chubb, and he's got Mahomes, obviously. So in that regard, I think you got to look at his team as you can't go into a week and score 97, 98 points in the play. All the teams are healthy and usually beat Josiah. However, if your team goes off for a huge amount of points, Josiah is going to need other players other than his top 3 to step up consistently, right? So as we move to the playoffs, but yeah, big win by Josiah.
Yeah, that was. Moving on to the next one, we had Mitchell versus Eddie. Like I said, before the show here, we did have some comments here from Mr. Eddie Walden, saying that he explained at the beginning of the week, PJ is fighting for his spot. Though he balled out, Mills is still trash. We looked at both the defensive 2 QB matchup percentages, and PJ was favored. I don't know about that. I just don't like that pick.
Yeah, I mean, it cost him the win. And I don't care how you kind of look at it. Obviously, and he admitted that he was upset that he made that lineup. Obviously, that sucked. That hurt his chances. But man, Justin Herbert, also, on Sunday Night Football, you figured he'd outscore Jimmy G, and that just wasn't the case. So Eddie moves to 4-5. I think we all realize that Eddie really isn't a strong contender. Now he would have snuck this game out. Would have actually been ahead of Walt. 4 would have been crazy. On the flip side, Mitchell, he's finding ways to win games. I mean, I really, he's another one that kind of bitches that we say his team isn't very strong. And hey, you're like the Minnesota Vikings a little bit. You're kind of the team that's had a great season so far, but everyone still kind of pokes holes in your. 83 points on a week where you had no Mark Andrews. You know, you know, I guess you could see no Mac Jones, but you're probably not. So your team was near full strength. Um, One thing that's interesting, Mac, is Mitchell's got a really strong receiving core, and he also has the opportunity now to play Allen Robinson, who obviously should be a lot better with Kupp hurt. And then even Odell Beckham Jr. has been rumored to possibly sign Cowboys. I've heard obviously Rams were in play.
I heard.
I don't know if
I heard it
that's
was.
going to happen.
I heard that the Bills were kind of the next landing spot.
Okay. So
So I heard
yeah, I mean he's got some.
nothing. You're good.
Oh yeah, so I mean he's got some depth there, so it'll be interesting moving forward. Um, so yeah, I mean Mitchell, big win for him. Eddie kind of is in a weird spot where he's not quite out of the shadow round, looking like he won't get there, but he also probably team, so he's probably building towards next year.
Yeah, not bad, but again, scoring 83 points and getting the win this week, that's tough. Especially when you say you're the best and most feared competitor out there.
Yeah.
I think it's trash. But next game up, Walt versus Moose Man himself, 161 points, buddy. I think it's the best team in the league.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, still a lot of time to go. You know, weird thing about my team is Josh Allen has actually been, I wouldn't say mediocre, but he's been mediocre compared to what he was doing earlier this year. But Justin Fields has stepped up and become probably, all things considered, he's someone that can help you win a division. Is when you draft a guy as late as I did and he goes off. Still have some things to figure out at the tight end position. And then obviously Barkley stepping up and doing what he did was great. So yeah, very happy with my team. I think it's
But
six in a row I've won. Or no,
with your team right now, really at the end of the day, you can have that tight end spot be a little shaky because Taysom Hill one day just comes out and is quarterback, and now you have three quarterbacks running. But your team
well,
picks up the slack from where not having him score any points. I mean, if he would have gone off
right.
and had at 10, 11 points, you're still looking good. But it's not a necessity really for your team. Walt
The one
too.
thing
I'm sorry.
I was
Go
just
for it.
going to say, I talked to Bill last night about this, and one thing that would make my team even more dangerous would be if the Saints decided Winston play and he got hurt, or they decided to put Winston on whatever they decide with the quarterback position. If Andy Dalton has another terrible game, they might just say to hell with it. Let's see what Taysom Hill can do. If I have Taysom tight end, but he's actually playing full-time quarterback for the Saints, that's going to be really, really interesting, and that'll be very tough to beat. So I'm definitely not going to get rid of Taysom Hill. I might put him on my bench and let Pitts play. But yeah, that's something to look forward to. We'll on the Walt though. What did you have to say
Yeah,
about Walt's team?
I was gonna say Walt. Somehow Tyler Heineke scores 5 points and gets the victory. But that's another team. I think his team looks good. Having Cup go down, that's a big hit. But Christian Kirk's still putting up numbers. Travis Kelsey, Marcus Mariota's still out there doing it. And then you have that running back with James Conner and Dalvin Cook. The team looks really good. I mean, I obviously I don't want Devonta Smith to catch any more footballs, and that should be AJ Brown. But
Sure.
besides that, he's got another tough team, and for the 4-5 record that he has, I don't think it's really doing it justice.
Well, you mentioned Josiah's team, and obviously we'll get to Logan in a second. But whoever doesn't get that number one seed is going to probably play Walt in that first round of the playoffs. And that will be a very tough first round matchup because, to your point, and obviously I just played Walt. As much as I ended up winning by, it was a close game, and he just kept scoring. James Conner kept scoring, and Kirk kept scoring. Obviously, he had Travis Kelsey, so his team can score at all the positions. And he's got James Robinson, who obviously could continue to grow his role. Lamar Jackson obviously was on a bye this week, so is a playoff team that if he he's playoffs because he's under 500. But if he does make the playoffs, it has to play, and Josiah or Logan have to play him first round. definitely think that's going to be a tough first round matchup. So
I think so too. That was a really good showing for him. Despite him being 4-5, I think he's got a pretty good team lined up there.
yeah,
Next game up, we
definitely.
had Carter versus Bill. Another week, Carter not scoring 100 points. um, that's tough, but Bill, another strong competitor here.
Yeah, Bill had a great week, and his team is definitely one of those in the West that I really would like to get the first round bye right away. Obviously, Tua as a player, Jonathan. And the scary thing is Jonathan Taylor kind of started looking like Jonathan Taylor. Justin Jefferson might be the best receiver in all of football, and I don't want to keep rubbing this in, Bill, but you could have had Justin Fields on your team. And that would have made you so much scarier. But that being said, great win for Bill. Carter moves to 6 straight loss. I will say Carter's tone has definitely shifted. Like he's kind of admitted his team sucks, but he also did make a valid point. He's not out of a playoff spot. Obviously, he'd have to win out pretty much, or at least win 2 out of 3 and get a lot of help. His team is not very strong. And I'm actually going to do this real quick and look at his remaining schedule because my point is I think Carter, is somebody that we've all shit on his team so it'd be pretty hilarious if he came back. And so he plays Walter Bach this week, then Teddy, Josiah, and Logan. So actually,
It's not.
I don't think he's winning many of those games. I'm glad I looked at that. So, I mean, Walt, Josiah, Logan, if he'd be lucky, was 4. And I don't know if that would be enough, unless he beats Walt this week. I guess that's one thing to look forward to is Walt. He's Walt this week, so who that will be a huge matchup as he's right ahead. But yeah, we've talked about his team at length, and actually, Carter, here's a test. Says he has not been watching the podcast since his team started playing so bad. Carter, if you're watching this, just whenever you watch it, just send a text to the group chat, bananas. Okay, that'll be the key word. Every week we'll leave Carter a little nugget like that. See if he is watching. So Carter, if you are watching, bananas.
Make a little segment for him.
Yeah.
Carter's watching. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, especially with that ending lineup playing Josiah and Logan right back to back. Um, I know we haven't shit on Teddy at all, but I think that one is the one game that out of those 4 that he's going to be able to actually pull that off. But not scoring less than 100 points again. Um, it's been a steep slope, but not going to rag on him. We'll just move on to the next game. So we got Kyle versus Logan. I know that they just had a nice little trade as well. Oops. They just had a nice little trade to get Jared Goff, but um, I knew that Logan was going to do it. I had a feeling. I even wrote earlier yesterday when I was doing the notes for it. Either he's gonna fuck it up and he's gonna go and trade away players,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gonna be in trouble. So, um, I there's not much you can say about this. Obviously, Miles Sanders and Damian Pierce didn't go off like they did last week for him, and it's just not gonna win him games.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll quickly touch on this game and touch on Kyle, and then I'll get to Logan because he's kind of started stirring up the pot like he likes to do. Kyle moves to 1-8. Obviously, is pretty much in a spot where he needs to find a way to win. Again, 4 weeks left. He needs minimum go 3-1, in my opinion, to maybe even just get himself a shutout match, avoid it. So he's in a kind of a dark spot. But hey, we keep saying his team's better than the record, but at this point, sorry, Kyle, you're 1-8, man. You can keep saying that your team is going to be better, but at this point, it just hasn't proven to be that. On the flip side, Logan moves to 7-2. He's had a great start to the season, but 100% agree with you. So this trade makes no sense. Okay, here's Jared Goff. I looked at his playoff matchups, not great. Okay. Let me just double check what I saw. So he is going to play playoffs at the Jets. The Jets have a very good defense. At Carolina's defense is not very good, but one thing they
They're
do
middle of the
well
road though.
is they do, yeah, and they'll run the ball. That'll be an ugly ass game. And then if he's lucky enough, he'll get to play against if he makes the championship, the Bears, who Goff just played, scored 16 points. So Jared Goff had a great start to the season, but obviously his last 5 games, 5 points, 1 point, 20 points, 15 points, 16 points. So therefore, you just traded for a quarterback that's not great. We've all seen that. So now you add him to a team that has 2 other average quarterbacks. So in my opinion, all you did was make yourself a headache each week picking which quarterback you wanted to play. And then maybe even more importantly, you have DeAndre Hopkins, been very, very good for you. You basically have his handcuff and Brown, who's coming back from injury, right? Like, so if Hopkins gets, you now have Brown to fill in, or vice versa. If Brown gets hurt again, obviously, you'd have Hopkins have an uptick. And then, not to mention, you have Zach Ertz. Here's the last thing: you have Zach Ertz, who just got hurt. So who's going to pick up Zach Ertz targets? It might be Brown. So long story short, I know Logan has some deep receivers. I know he's banking on Jamar Chase back, but that trade made no sense really for either team. I don't hate Kyle doing it because he gets a decent receiver. I just don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be good enough, and obviously has Andy Dalton, who's not done much. So I will say Logan might have gotten the better end of the deal, but I don't see why he did that. And honestly, it's funny because Mac, I don't know if you saw about an hour ago, he forgot that he. That's how Logan does. He just sends these terrible. He just sends all these different trades with no actual thought someone's going to accept it. I think Kyle just randomly accepts a trade, and Logan kind of forgets he did it. So, Logan, go ahead.
He's getting to the point now where I just have to ask if he is just trying to be this airheaded and dumb, or is he just doing work and all those numbers and everything just wearing down on him. So when he comes home at night, he's just completely brain dead and doesn't think about anything. I just don't understand what his logic is going at that. And like I told you, I wrote earlier, if he should just sit down, take the L. It's all right. I mean, he's not going to get the points from Jared Goff that he's going to need in order to beat Josiah, especially with all the guys he has out. So it's just dumb trade. I don't think it's good. Carson Wentz might come back, might even get the starting position. That's still up in the air. Um, so it's just tough. But on to the next, which was the game of the week, me versus Justin. We'll have him on in a second. AJ Brown just shoved it up my butt and just kind of left it there. So
yeah, I mean, game of the week, it definitely lived up to it as far as obviously being that close of a game. And the worst part is you lost by 2, so it wasn't even one of those situations where 2, but AJ Brown went out there and got 6 catches for 100 yards. You just literally needed him to get 1 reception, and that probably would have been close to 20 yards.
yes,
so I mean, really tough.
Yeah, it was terrible. I ended up having to turn the game off in the fourth quarter because I just knew it wasn't going to happen. Watching him hobble around out there just really got to me. I couldn't watch anymore, so ended up having to turn it off. And congratulations, Justin, gave you another win here. Moving your way into putting me further into the shadow realm. So that sucks. But no, good turnout. Tom Brady's finally throwing the ball. I guess that divorce was good for him. And Aaron Jones just doing it to me. There's a lot there that I wish would have happened.
Yeah, you're in a spot now where obviously you want to avoid Chubb. Obviously, that's Justin's big motive too. At the same time, though, you guys are definitely can play a little bit of spoiler. I know there's some pride in that, so you guys definitely have coming up because that's the one thing about the league as we'll jump into standings here soon is there's a lot still left to be figured out. So,
which
tough loss
that
for
is
you.
Actually next.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Standings. Looks like the West is pretty strong. What's that?
Yeah, these are not updated, unfortunately.
Oh no. Oh, unfortunately, yeah, that's not good. But I know we split. I guess I did it in the other one and forgot to switch
Yeah.
it over. Unfortunately, but yeah, I don't know if this is the right
Well,
one.
I'll
But
tell you right
either
now.
way,
So Josiah
there we
and
go.
Josiah and Logan are 8-2. Obviously, they basically have clinched a playoff spot. I think Josiah have clinched the playoff spot. And Logan is 99% chance to make it. You're actually currently in third based on that must be tiebreakers. He's at 4-6. You got Walt at 4-6. We won't have too much East West, but obviously the East is showing that it's a very top heavy league as we've talked about because you got a playoff team that's 2 games under 500. And Justin, who we're going to have on in a second, Justin is 1 game out of a playoff spot, and so are Carter. A lot left in the East. Not only are Carter and Justin still fighting to not get Chet around, they're actually still fighting spot. Flip side, you got myself, Mitchell, and Bill all moved to 7-3. I own tiebreaker over Bill right now. It's over Bill Mitchell. I believe I beat Bill. I know I beat Mitchell twice. Regardless, points for 2 I own, so that's a big advantage for that buy. 5-5, which means, in honestly, Mac, you'd have to win out, make the playoffs over one of the 63 teams, and then on the bottom end of the West, you got Kyle at 1-9. Is now 2 full games behind the next um, person that could get around. So it's definitely got a lot of matchups that we'll talk about at the end of the show that will decide some big things this week. But yeah, it's going to shape out to kind of your top teams that are playoff bound. And then, unlike other years, as I've kind of mentioned a few times, there's one clear shadow realm team right now, and it's Kyle. He's 2 full games, like I mentioned, away from the next team. So he's definitely got to be sweating a little bit as we.
And I'm pretty sure who gave Kyle their win. Was that me?
Kyle's going to win. Let me see.
I think it might have been me. And
No,
so if he
no,
wins,
no, no, no. You'll know who it is. It's Carter.
I did not know that, and I did not mean to kind of drive that home here. Um, I did not know that. I actually thought it was me, to be honest with you. Um, but
Played week
regardless,
4. The score was 178 for Kyle, 9 for Carter. So that kind of actually that started. So that's where it all starts. Carter starts 3-0. He's playing Kyle, who's 0, and Kyle curb stomps Carter. And then the funniest thing is neither that game because they've lost out. So since Kyle beat Carter in week 4, they both lost every game since then. So
it was the
interesting.
gong.
Yep.
All right. Well, now it comes to our game of the week.
Yeah, my lock
Sorry, my
again lost. Yeah, it lost again last week, which fortunately I keep betting on the Rams, and obviously the quarterback position with Stafford going out, Murray was out to even it out, but not doing great on locks. I believe I'm 4-5 now. I'm kind of going back to unders. I really like this under in the Ravens Panthers game. I might even gotten a little bit high 4 maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, if it's 43.5, if it's 43 or 45, whatever the under is, bet the under. I just don't see any way that the Ravens allow much. Both teams like to run the ball. Both quarterbacks, the Ravens quarterback, Jackson, is a runner first, thrower second. And as we've talked with Eddie, PJ Walker is neither a or a runner. And if Baker Mayfield, I almost think that's even better for the under. So really like this under. Hopefully, I can get back on track with a win this week.
All right, and with that, we're gonna bring on our guest here. Jonesing for another win here, Mr. Justin McCarty.
What's up, guys?
How's
What's
it
up,
going?
I love that little edit you did there.
I love it. So, Justin, you got the victory this week. It was unfortunate. I couldn't have AJ Brown score, but congratulations, going for the third win, moving to 3-7.
Yeah, thank you. Another Monday night miracle for me. I didn't watch a single second of the game. It fucking helped.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't want to watch it either. It was painful for me. I was having a tough time.
Right. Yeah, I saw he had like one catch for 8 yards, like I think in the second quarter, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, it was tough.
All he needs is one more, and it's donezo. But somehow, some way.
I was hoping for a last end of the game touchdown there, but they fizzled that away pretty quickly. So, unfortunately, I moved to 3-7 as well.
Same record.
Yeah, so Josh, obviously you were early season kind of favorite to get shut around as we got going, but now you've won a few in a row. Or not in a row, but you've stringed together some wins the last few weeks. You're now 3-7. So do you feel like you've turned that corner, or does the shut around still something that kind of keeps you awake at night?
Definitely keeps me awake at night. I don't really have too much confidence in my team, I must say. But scraping that win does feel good, I must say. Because being 2-7?
2-8.
2-8 instead of 3-7 is definitely a much worse spot than 3-7. So, but no, I think my team. I mean, I could even make the playoffs, as crazy as that sounds, because I'm in the same spot as Carter, and I think I'm one game behind Eddie, one game behind Walt for third place. So, I mean, it's not completely out of the realm there.
It's a East too. That's the thing. Anybody at any point besides really your two, Logan and Josiah up there, it's really up for grabs anywhere down below them. It's a pretty exciting one, but I wouldn't say it's powerful.
Right, and if I beat Eddie this week, it's my odds I think will go up to maybe even
you control your own destiny, because if you beat Eddie this week, you obviously have a better record than him, and even if you continue to win, you play Walt week 13.
If I beat Eddie, we'll have the same record. Or are you going by head to head?
Well, yeah. I guess my point is, if you beat him already once, okay,
right,
and then Walt did you lose to Walt the first time? You did lose to Walt, so you would need a little bit of help. But if you do get to play Walt again, so if you beat him, we would then go points for. Or if Walt lost, basically you don't maybe control your own destiny, but you're very close to it. So yeah, I mean the playoffs, as crazy as it sounds, for both you and Carter, necessarily a pipe dream. We still have that. Now, one way you could get to the playoff, getting your team better, but it seems like you're at a spot where you've decided this year to kind of just ride. Was that like an internal decision that you made, or how do you go about kind of when you look at trades? You just haven't got maybe an offer that makes sense? Because I know that's been another topic of discussion this year, is the lack of trades made for your teams specifically.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of trading has been happening because of injuries to like other teams. And my team, as much as it sucks, hasn't suffered from injuries like at all, which is kind of surprising how bad my team is, But yeah, I think just my team being healthy and me liking my guys has contributed definitely from me not seeking trades. With that being said, though, Jerry Jeudy, I think, just went out. Juju just did like the Tua thing, so he might be out.
Yeah.
Which weirdly I kind of like because
Sure.
I have MVS and I have Sutton,
Right.
so like more target chances for those two guys. So honestly, like those injuries like might actually help me.
So with that, that kind of leads into my question that I had for you. What's the strategy behind playing the two wide receivers for the same team instead of switching back between having like a Jerry Judy and a Juju Smith Schuster, having those mixed up or anything is, but you ride with the two guys on the same team. But is there a strategy to that?
No, there is not. I will say. When I drafted Jerry Jeudy and Sutton, though, they were the same exact like ranking on like the ESPN like cheat sheet that we get. And I think in that point in the draft, I had no wide receivers. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna stack up on these two wide receivers that are ranked the exact same. And I had high hopes for Russell Wilson, you know, who has obviously not been himself this year. So I was like, yeah, Russell Wilson has these two studs and they're both ranked the same. And I didn't have any receivers on my team yet. So I just stacked them. And then later on in the draft, it kind of just worked its way out where I ended up with Juju and MVS. So there's not really much strategy behind it other than how it just played out in the draft.
Trying to get a touchdown wherever Patrick Mahomes is going to throw a touchdown regardless to somebody.
Right. And Patrick Mahomes is spreading the ball out way more than I thought. It was with Tyreek, it was Tyreek and Kelsey pretty much like his whole career. And I was like, all right, Juju might take that role where he's going to get those targets that Kelsey doesn't get.
Right.
So
I've noticed it. That's just how your team's been rolling. That you pick two wide receivers, then you put them in your lineup, and then the next week they'd either go on a bye or something, and you just put the other two in. I was curious. We've been talking about it all year long. I just wanted to
my receivers have been whacked this year, but I mean it's just kind of how the draft kind of played out this year where I've never done that before in the past, and I honestly probably won't do that again.
So, we've talked a little bit about him. So, and I know I asked Kyle this when he was on. So I'll ask you the same question. If, unfortunately you are shut around, how do you foresee yourself? Like, where you're going to be someone that kind of takes a step away and, is, I wouldn't say non-existent, but just kind of, pipes in here or there about stuff, but kind of, isn't exactly involved anymore? Or do you foresee yourself being one of those, kind of like Logan was a little bit more? I mean, Deeds for sure definitely still makes some comments, but I think Logan was a little bit more active in asking kind of what was going on in the league. So how do you foresee your role if that was to happen to yourself?
Yeah, if I was shadowed, I'd for sure have FOMO and just be like, what the fuck am I missing out on? I would want to, what we should do for shadow is I don't think you can do it, but it'd be sweet if like the person could just like go on to like the app and like still like look at everyone's team and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd for sure have FOMO and probably want to keep up with all the shenanigans that's going on.
Well, I will say that it has made Dale a little more compromising. He's been out there throwing. I know he's had his little spats here and there, but his idea, after Logan came up with a onion allergy after 8 years, he comes up compromising now. It seems to be working well for him in the old shadow room. Dale's watching. That's a shout out.
The other thing I'll say, Justin, is obviously you got the trophy behind you. You're coming off the championship. Maybe you had a little bit of a championship hangover, right? Yeah, I mean, very impressive. Very impressive, obviously. So you obviously need to get some props for sure for that success. And regardless if there's a championship hangover or not, banners fly forever. I mean, obviously you get to continue to enjoy the next 4 weeks as the champion. But yeah, I mean, it's been kind of an up and down season for you, but it is crazy where you can win 4 straight and possibly make the playoffs, and then you could also lose 4 straight and get shot around. So yeah, definitely a lot to look forward here. Mac, do you got anything else?
No, that's all I got. I will say that's a nice little background you got there with the lazy boy.
I know. I knew I needed to incorporate it somehow.
Yeah.
You got anything for us, J Mac?
No, I don't think so. I wasn't.
Well,
No.
let's move into week 11 then. So week 11, going into it, first game up. I put all the West here on this slide. It'll be me versus Mitchell. Barring any setbacks, I should take this one. I know Mitchell's got some. You see, I think that he's got Mark Andrews out. But again, you never know him how many games this year he's done it, but he won't start 3 people and somehow he'll get a win. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got to try to make some moves here. My team isn't looking very good, so this is going to be a toss up for me. I have the projection, but I still think I'm going to lose it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you don't even need. I don't care if Mitchell's projected 150 or 50. I don't care if he had all of his players on a bye and none of his players on a bye. It's like he's finding ways to win games, and definitely looks like you're going to win this one based on projections and buys and injuries. But like we've tolerated, like you just put. I don't think that you can look past Mitchell's team based on the run they've made. So yeah, I'm cheering for you, Mac. It would help me big time. So I hope you get the win.
Yeah, looking forward. I'd really like to do that. Justin, any thoughts? I mean, he's only got 420 minutes left in the game, or on his team, and I have 600. So
I think every week Mitchell should purposely not start someone in his lineup because I think every single time he does that, he somehow wins.
Oh yeah, Mitchell's screwed
Or
actually.
What's
I
that?
did.
So
I did pick up Jameis Winston just for this matchup here. So I'm actually thinking about putting him in just so I can have that little luck of the Jameis, I guess. So
screwed. I mean, so Mitchell. I mean, he could drop. He's two defenses, so he could definitely make a change. But he has Cordell Patterson as his one running back, his second Walker, and he's on a bye. And then his only other running back currently on his roster is Wilson Jr., who's also on a bye. He also is rostering 2 tight ends. So I mean, I don't know why he hasn't made his waiting for, but as of right now,
the full lineup.
What's that?
As of right now, he does not have a full starting lineup.
He's got a kicker on a bye. He's got a running back on a bye. He's got nobody back position, but his bench is weird. So he's got he's got a tight end on his bench in Gesicki, who's on a bye. Andrews could be healthy. Beckham Jr., who's not even on a team, and he's got the Ravens defense plus the Colts defense. So I guess I don't know what Mitchell's waiting to do. I guess he's just like everything. He's a little bit late to looking at his transactions. But no, that's interesting to see how he goes about maneuvering his bench and his players here. So
he's probably not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's bizarre. It's the strangest thing I've seen in fantasy football that you just don't even pay attention to your lineup and you somehow win.
He has the record of like not starting a full lineup this year.
Yeah.
How many times has
we
should keep how many times he hasn't put out a full lineup?
I can go back and look at that and try to figure it out. I'll make that a segment here. Maybe when he's supposedly coming on the show sometime soon. So maybe I'll make a little segment for him and look at his team of how many times he didn't start somebody. But hopefully this week it works in my favor. But
we'll see.
Next up, we got Moose versus Bill. This is going to be a good matchup. I know Bill has got. What's he got? So he has Tua, Chris Chris Godwin, ETN, Jalen Waddle are all going to be on buys. He does have Deshaun Watson practicing now, but do you think he's going to play this week?
Not eligible to play until week 14, I think it is, or 13. Yeah, he's allowed to practice but not play. So, I get. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say I got beers with Bill last night, and he's kind of already doing the whole. Yeah, I'm gonna lose this week. He's got Jefferson and Taylor. I'm not gonna count him out at all. I don't care what the projection says. Bill's a good team. He'll need somebody to step up outside of those two guys. But that's one thing that's screwing Bill's roster construction is the fact he cannot pick up a fourth quarterback, and two of us are basically on the same team, obviously, and only one can play. So he's got two on a bye. So, that's going to screw him for this week, which is big for the seeding. But at the same time, I've got to go out and I've got to figure out, or I've got to still play well to beat a good team like Bill. So,
who are Bill's quarterbacks?
Tua and Jacoby, and then his whole. So one thing that we should talk about with Bill is his whole plan is that he thinks once Deshaun Watson comes back, he's gonna be this like 30 like a stud. And I'm like, Bill, the dude hasn't played football in how long? He is coming into a situation where he's gonna get some of the biggest criticism and he's on a team that doesn't score. Like they run the ball. They're not a great offense. They're not a great team right now.
That quarterback has never even played one snap with that team.
Right. Exactly. So I do think that Bill is banking on like this Watson, and I'm not saying for him to bench him and stash him, but I would not want, because the other thing is I'm pretty sure he's going to play it's either week 13 or 14. Okay, let's say it is week 14. That means Bill gets one game to watch him play, and then he jumps right in the playoffs. So I would not feel comfortable starting a guy like that situation. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out.
He should have tried to pick up Matt Ryan, really.
But he couldn't. Because then he has to drop Brissett.
Yeah.
Or Watson. I mean, yeah, you could drop Jacoby Brissett, but then you're now picking up Matt Ryan, who, if he gets benched, now you might not have any. Now you might not have any starting quarterback outside of Tua. So, yeah.
Sure.
Obviously, Bill's got a great 3 for a reason, but it is something interesting to look at moving forward. So,
and I think he can't make any trades right now. You can't do it. I know we've got 1 week left until trade deadline next Thursday, but the thing is, he doesn't have. I wouldn't make a trade. I'd just take this one off the chin and move into the playoffs.
I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it one more time. Bill could have had Justin Fields for Chris Godwin. I mean, imagine and the funny thing is he kind of I think he was joking. He kind of said that he's happy he didn't make that move, but I just don't believe him on that. So,
yeah.
But next game, we
Fields,
have Kyle.
To Bill's credit, Fields was really bad in the beginning of the year, historically.
Oh, I agree. But Bill, so the reason why I always bring it up is Bill, other deals I was shopping Fields, hey, who wants them? This was a deal where Bill legitimately said Godwin for Fields. I said, let me think about it. Then I said, I'll do it. Then I sent him the deal, and then he just ghosted me, didn't respond. And then I sent the trade, didn't respond. And then I ended up canceling the trade. But
he'd be like, I don't know. You were too sure on the trade, and made Bill be like, oh wait, is this a bad trade?
I mean, dude, if I would have traded Fields, I've thought about this a few times. If I would have traded Fields for anybody at this point, I would have been so upset, watching, my team's quarterback and just sitting there being like, fuck, I could have had this guy on my team. Are you kidding me? And I drafted Fields in a bunch of leagues. So, I won't keep talking about this trade, Bill, but when you're, thinking about, do I have to release him in the playoff? game after 1 week, and Justin Fields another 80-yard touchdown run. Just keep that in mind. So
Next up, we have Kyle versus Teddy. I really like this game. I was gonna make it game of the week, but really, there's no implications to, besides Kyle getting his second win. I didn't see it as being game of the week worthy here, especially with some of the other matchups. But I really do like this. This is going to be a good one, I think.
yeah, it's a projected close, and both teams are in desperate need of a win for two different reasons. So that'll be fun to watch.
I don't want to keep bragging on this trade, but you are losing Jared Goff, which you hope that Carson Wentz comes in. One, just kills it, but two, he also gets the starting position. Because right now, Taylor Heineke's going off. So, I mean, obviously only 5 points, but what he's bringing to that Commanders team is a little bit more than fantasy points. But it's going to be tough. I don't know. I think I'm going to take Teddy in that one, but especially if, that's call Modern Warfare 2.0 updates coming out, I guess. So Kyler Murray might be in a little bit of trouble. But next, we have Walt versus Carter. Walt's in a little bit of trouble. If Carter can capitalize on it, he can get out of this slump he's working on.
Yeah, I'm just going to include both this game and Justin's game and say that these are two matchups that, are interesting because whoever wins this game, or these matchups, whether it's Walt beats Carter or opposite can beat Eddie, they will automatically remove themselves from somewhat of a shadow round contention. And the craziest part is they'll basically either be in a playoff spot or a game out of a playoff spot. So this is why you love fantasy football. This is why you play, is because you're of it. And I think both these matchups are projected real close. These are two fun East matchups for both implications and playoffs. So definitely going to be two good ones.
Well, that Justin, you have anything for your game? You think you got any trash talk to speak to Eddie? I know he's still reeling over top of that PJ Walker.
I haven't too much at the match. He has Davis Mills there. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little worried about Matt Stafford. I don't know what's going to happen. If he can't play, I'm going to have to either drop him and pick up a quarterback or just go without a quarterback. So I'm hoping he plays. We'll just have to keep that for me. I mean, I'm not like Mitchell or Josiah. I'm going to keep an eye on my squad here. So,
well, in case Jameis Winston comes back, I do have him sitting on my bench if you want to talk a little bit. I do need a running back, though. But moving forward, we're going to go for our game of the week. Biggest game in the East here. Until the trade came in, it was a great one. I know that this has changed a lot, but and he hasn't set his lineup, but this is going to decide the East. The only 8-2 teams. Way to go, Logan. I told you to wait for the pod to come out, but you fucked up and traded away your team for Jared Goff.
No, yeah, this is just looking at Logan's roster to see kind of who he could fill in, and he definitely, picked the bad week to have his buys and injuries or whatever is preventing him from a full lineup. But this is a situation. If he can find a way to win, obviously that's a huge momentum boost. But definitely give the favor, and I'm definitely picking Josiah because of the full roster. I also think Josiah just completely owned Logan today. Like Logan was just all over the place. In the morning, he's talking about how Brady is an unbelievable player coming back off injury and like how smart he was basically for having him or picking him up or whatever he did. And then Josiah makes one comment and goes, "Well, you're an idiot because your team now is basically going to lose the biggest game of the year that you're playing. And then Logan responds and goes, I don't care about 1 week. Look at Walt did it, yada, yada. And so it's like that just shows you where his mind was at. He didn't know what to do. And I think mentally Josiah alpha out of Logan. And I just got to, like, you know, when like a team sees their coach like out there and like okay, like the Titans, right? They see Mike Vrabel out there like doing push-ups and like planks before a big game and going like shirtless. That's Josiah. And then you look at Logan, and it's like, what is it? Logan is like Matt Rule spitting all over himself before a game, looking like a complete idiot. That's how like these two teams got to be looking at each other. Yeah, I got Josiah, and I got it. It's not even going to be close. That's my pick of the week.
I'm taking Josiah as well.
I guess I'll take Josiah. I don't even know what Logan's lineup looks like. Does he not line up?
So right now, Logan has Tyreek Hill out. He has Geno Smith out. He has Trevor Lawrence out. He has Leonard Fournette. They're all on buys. He just traded away Carson Wentz to get Jared Goff. So he will have a quarterback, but he does have Stevenson on his bench that could play the OP. So he is kind of set there. But besides that, he's still got Ertz that's out on injury. He's got Jamar Chase who's out on injury. So his team is beat up.
Were you not telling me a couple weeks ago that a good strategy is to have all of your guys on the bye week at the same time?
It's a strategy. I don't think. Again, I don't think.
This is where strategy.
What's that?
This is like a scenario where it's not a good strategy at all because this is a crucial game to win.
Well, I'd agree, but if let's say if Logan loses this week, right, he moves to 8-3. Josiah wins. But if Josiah has to then have buys, like let's just say the next 3 weeks, he's got multiple guys out on buys, alternating weeks, and and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen or that's even. But I guess my point is most fantasy owners, if you're going to have 1 week where your entire team's out and you're going to play terrible, but the rest of the week, majority of your players are healthy and not on buys, you're just going to win more because of that. Obviously things change, right? You play a team on a week where you hold a lot of your teams on a bye, and it happens to be the biggest game of the year. On the flip side, I guess my point more of that, Justin, is that I would never draft, other than quarterback because it's a quarterback league, I would never not draft a player like, oh, I'm not drafting this receiver because I have and my quarterback and my tight end are all on a bye week 7, and so is this receiver. If I like that receiver more than the other receivers, I'm going to still take him no matter what his buy is. I guess that would be my point more.
I would say
you're right. Like, this is the situation for Logan.
Right. Yeah, I'd say maybe your first 3 picks, it does not matter what the buy is. You just take the best guy.
Sure.
And then other than that, you might want to start, looking at bye weeks.
Do we even have the schedule out before the draft?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The NFL schedule buys. Yeah.
I'm talking
but
about.
You're right. We don't have the league schedule out. That's what Mac meant.
Right.
Yeah.
I meant our league schedule where we could see because we can look at everyone's team right away and know who our competitors are going to be in our division, and from there, if we knew where our buys were and what week we were playing those people, it would kind of it would judge how you would draft your team. Really.
I will be honest though. We had our draft is such a shit show. I mean, Eddie was so high you didn't even know if he was up on the clock. I don't know how many people would necessarily look at that. And to Logan's point, even if Logan drafted a team, he didn't draft this team. Seth drafted his whole team. Because of that, he's gone ahead and traded his whole team because he knows that, hey, I don't have any relationship to these guys. So regardless of, I guess, that draft strategy, it doesn't necessarily make, even if you're drafting to get a bunch of guys in the same buy, or you're drafting to avoid buys, most people go ahead and trade 1 to 2 times a year. Therefore, they kind of blow up that. So, I would love to know. It seems like Logan and Eddie are very analytical number guys. At least they claim to be. So I would love a little bit of a write-up from Logan and Eddie on this if they can get us a trend for buys, but that's definitely something that I'm sure we'll get. It'll be on my desk first thing in the morning, I'm sure, tomorrow. So
All right, so all three of us are taking Josiah, and so now going into our game of the weeks here, we both took an L. Unfortunately, last week I moved to 4-4, you moved to 6-2, and that shapes up our guest pick with Kyle taking a loss there. We are now 4-3 through picks. So Justin, hopefully you'll be on there with W. But I'm gonna be reaching out to everybody trying to get our game of the week pick here by next week, so that way we can start really ramping this up and have these last 4 weeks to show the competition. So see who can get these stickers.
let's do it.
But again, yeah, sponsored by Happy Baker. We're all out there. But that's all I got for you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Doc.
big week coming up.
Absolutely. This huge matchups, especially between me and Eddie and Walton Carter.
We're
That's
getting down to the nitty gritty.
I think those 4 teams in the East there just are scratching and clawing for a spot. So it's going to be a big week.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on, J Mac. Mac, great job as always, and
Appreciate it.
everyone, good luck in week 11. We will see you guys next time.
Okay. See you later.